Hello to all our friends at the Academy, and a warm welcome to those of you joining us for the first time. I am Professor James from IntlLaw Academy of International Law. The playlist I am preparing for you will focus on the relationships among the subjects of international law. Together, we will explore how these subjects interact, what kinds of relations they form, and how international law regulates and organizes these interactions. If you're not quite ready to begin this new playlist, I recommend that you first watch the 3 playlists of introduction, sources, and subjects of international law on the Academy's channel. These were prepared by the other professors of IntlLaw. But if you have already completed those and are ready to start this new journey with me, click on my playlist above to catch up the previous videos if you want. Or let's dive into today's video by talking about communicative relations in international law. Now that we have explored friendly and hostile relations, let us turn to a different but equally important type of interaction: communicative relations. When we speak about international law, many people immediately think of war, diplomacy, or political disputes. But in reality, most international relations are neither confrontational nor dramatic. They are routine. They are continuous. They are practical. They are the daily exchanges that allow our world to function. Communicative relations are the legal organization of global interaction. Communicative relations describe the daily interactions and cooperative engagements between the subjects of international law. These are the channels through which states, international organizations, corporations, and even individuals coordinate, transact, and connect. Unlike hostile relations, communicative relations are not defined by conflict. Instead, they form the fabric of international cooperation, trade, diplomacy, and social organization. Communicative relations do not emerge spontaneously. They are not created by goodwill alone. They exist because international law builds the frameworks that make cooperation possible. Law creates standards. Law establishes procedures. Law guarantees recognition. Law builds trust. In this sense, international law functions as a global infrastructure. Just as roads, bridges, and cables connect cities, legal rules connect societies. They allow movement without chaos, exchange without fear, cooperation without uncertainty. These relations manifest in many domains, each governed by its own branch of international law. Understanding these branches allows us to see how law structures interaction and ensures predictability, fairness, and accountability in global affairs. Diplomatic and consular law governs how states represent themselves abroad. This branch governs how states communicate officially with one another. It regulates embassies, consulates, and permanent missions. It protects diplomats and consular officers. It guarantees privileges and immunities. It ensures secure channels of dialogue. Through diplomatic law, states speak to each other. Through consular law, states protect their citizens abroad. These rules transform political dialogue into a stable legal relationship. They ensure that even in moments of tension, communication remains possible. International economic and trade law structures commercial interaction across borders. International economic law regulates investment, finance, development, and monetary relations. It governs foreign direct investment. It protects investors. It manages financial flows. It supports development cooperation. Through treaties and institutions, economic law creates stability for long-term cooperation. It encourages confidence. It reduces risk. It facilitates sustainable growth. In a global economy, trust is currency, and law produces trust. On the other hand, international trade law governs the movement of goods and services across borders. It regulates tariffs, quotas, subsidies, and market access. It structures the global trading system. It promotes predictability and fairness. Through institutions such as the World Trade Organization, trade law transforms economic interaction into legal cooperation. It allows states to compete without confrontation, to exchange without exploitation, to grow without isolation. Trade law is the legal language of economic globalization. International human rights law governs how states relate to individuals. It protects freedom of expression, freedom of movement, freedom of association, access to education, cultural participation. Through human rights law, individuals become active participants in international life. They are not merely objects of policy, they are subjects of rights. Human rights law ensures that communication remains humane. Law of the sea governs oceans, maritime boundaries, and navigation. The oceans are the largest communication network on Earth. They carry most of global trade. They connect continents. They sustain resources. The law of the sea regulates this vast space. It governs navigation, maritime zones, resource exploitation, environmental protection, maritime security. Through conventions such as UNCLOS, the oceans become a shared legal space. Without this law, maritime communication would descend into conflict. International Waterways law governs rivers, canals, and transboundary lakes. Conventions such as the UN Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses, 1997, regulate navigation, resource use, and environmental protection. States cooperate over shared waterways to facilitate trade, energy, irrigation, and ecosystem preservation. Legal frameworks prevent disputes and ensure waterways connect rather than divide, sustaining both commerce and peace. International aviation law regulates air transport, safety, and the use of airspace. It regulates civil aviation. It governs air routes, safety standards, airport cooperation, aircraft registration, passenger protection. Through organizations such as the International Civil Aviation Organization, aviation law makes global mobility possible. Every international flight is a legal achievement. It reflects coordination, recognition, and trust. Space law extends communicative relations beyond Earth. Treaties such as the Outer Space Treaty of 1967 regulate the exploration and use of outer space, satellite operations, and orbital coordination. States and private entities must avoid harmful interference and ensure peaceful cooperation. Space law transforms the vast, lawless expanse above us into a shared, structured arena for collaboration and communication. Environmental law ensures that cooperative activity does not come at the expense of the planet and regulates cooperation in protecting nature. It governs climate change, biodiversity, pollution, natural resources, sustainable development. Through treaties and institutions, states communicate their responsibilities toward future generations. Environmental law transforms ecological interdependence into legal cooperation. It reminds us that communication is not only between societies, but between humanity and nature. And sports law, often overlooked, is another unique field of communicative relations. Sport is one of the most powerful forms of global communication. It unites cultures, it crosses languages, it builds shared identity. International sports law governs this domain. It regulates competitions, athletes' rights, doping control, dispute resolution, institutional governance. Through sports law, competition becomes fair, transparent, and credible. It ensures that rivalry remains respectful. Together, the branches of communicative relations, and maybe so many others in future, show how communicative relations function in practice. They turn interaction into structured cooperation, ensure predictability, and protect interests. In the upcoming playlists of our Academy, we will explore each of these branches in greater depth, examining the rules, institutions, and real-world examples that make global cooperation possible. For now, this overview gives us a conceptual lens. Communicative relations are the heartbeat of international law, sustaining connection, trade, diplomacy, and cooperation across the global system. In communicative relations, law does not dominate. It facilitates. It does not impose silence. It enables dialogue. It does not restrict movement. It organizes mobility. It does not suppress exchange. It structures fairness. Through standards, recognition, and coordination, law builds invisible bridges between actors. These bridges carry ideas, goods, people, values, and opportunities. They sustain the everyday life of international society. Today, we reach the end of our journey together through this playlist on the relations among the subjects of international law. It has truly been a meaningful experience for me to walk through these ideas with you. I have the honor to tell you that by completing this playlist, you are no longer at the beginning of the Academy's journey. You have passed the introductory stage of it. I want to thank you for your attention, your commitment, and for allowing me to be part of your learning process. It has been a privilege to be your guide in this part of the journey. I say goodbye to you for now, but not in permanence. I leave you in capable hands, and I trust that you will continue to grow, to question, and to deepen your understanding of international law. Take care, and I hope our paths cross again.